Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Samso. We're here at Blacksmith, Perth again. Today I've got Tony Cunningham and Arnaud Moret here with us talking about something a little bit different, but probably something that's very interesting to investors on the ASX at least. Maybe Tony, you can just start off just introducing yourself, and Arnaud the same, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Hi everyone, so as Noel said, Noel and I went to school together. We did geology together, year 11 and 12. He obviously went on and actually became a real geologist. And I did do my geology degree a few years later, but like they say, I know just enough to be dangerous. But and obviously here with Arnaud Moret as well. So my background, obviously, I started CPS Capital, which is Australia's biggest micro-cap broker now, and obviously had a big hand in setting up and starting Hot Copper, which obviously most people would know about. I was lucky enough to meet Arnaud at Hot Copper, and Arnaud left in February, I think, 2016 to do his own thing, and I was a little frustrated with Hot Copper and left in about April 2016. And sometime after that, we got together and just said that where there was an opportunity to build something better. And we've been through about 10,000 beers and about 10,000 iterations, and we've built something that's pretty special. Yeah. So. It's going viral in terms of an Australian startup at the moment. We're well over 6,000 users now, getting about 150 a day at the moment, which puts us on track for 20,000 by the end of Christmas, and a serious player in the space. Yeah.
Arnaud, we caught up, I think late last year, and we got talking about your app. Obviously, things have taken off a bit more in the recent month or two. Maybe you can give us a brief intro of what you do and what your part in SIP.
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Arnaud, originally from France. Came to Australia about 9 years ago now. And like Tony said before, I worked with him on Hot Copper. And a few years after, I got a little bit bored of that job because it's just a forum, and like as a technical person, it just becomes boring. So I wanted to start something else. So met with Tony, decided to start something new. I think the first 2 years were really hard because we had like a concept in mind. We wanted like our name says, to show the stocks in play and to have like a chat on the side, but we couldn't really pin it down. Like what do people want? How is it really going to work? And in the last couple of months, so after I met you, we made a lot of progress. And the way everything worked is we constantly are listening to our users' feedback. And our process to place tips initially was just completely wrong, incorrect. People would be like, "Oh, I placed my tip here. I see my results here. There, it doesn't make sense." So after building and rebuilding the software, finally we managed to hit a version that we were comfortable with, and that's when we started reaching out to what you call social influencers. And the last 3 weeks, and now it's the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about it. We still have a lot of work to do, obviously, but we have a solid base, comfortable base to build on. Now it's the time to really expand the team, add more people, and grow.
Yeah, I think I remember looking at it in your early stages. I think I can see. I remember I would comment or talk on the chats, and there wouldn't be a lot of chats, but I'm seeing that the volume of chats is actually increased significantly, which is very good. I mean, and the concept of having live data and also being able to showcase your tipping prowess which is I don't think there's anything on the market like that at all, apart from I think that's a look. It's like everything else. I mean, you're first in line with the concept, and I think it's one that's quite good. And obviously, the patrons have taken on to the concept. Tony, maybe you can give us an idea of the strategy or how it works.
So when we started, we didn't really know what we wanted. We had a concept in mind that too many people were losing money following the forums. The noisy people were being listened to. And we knew that their performance was appalling. They'd be always pumping and dumping. They'd be tipping at the top of the market because they wanted to get out, and immediately the stocks would collapse afterwards. So we wanted to build a system that you make a tip. That tip is a theoretical buy or sell of $10,000 worth. And then when that tip period ends or you close the tip out, again the price is calculated and it determines whether you've made a profit or loss, and that builds your trading history and determines whether you're good or bad. And I've always seen the best people continually keep getting it right, and the bad people continually keep getting it wrong. But there was no system that identified who the best people are, and that's what we've built. We've built something that holds people to account to their tips, and as a spin-off to that, so that's the leaderboard, and it shows the leaderboard of who's the best day tipper, week tipper, month tipper, quarter tipper. And we're starting to get some year tips coming through now, because we did a soft launch over a year ago now. But as a byproduct of that, where essentially what we do is we poll all our members of what the best stock is for each period, and we're now starting to see that poll is suggesting the best stocks. Like Buffett said, in the short term, the stock market is a popularity contest, and in the long term, it's a weighing machine. The company has to stack up with profits and returns and whatnot. So essentially, what our polling of members is doing is it's directly correlated with the popularity of that stock. And if there's more buyers than sellers, and that stock's more popular, that stock will go up. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see, yesterday was a good example with our in-play screen, which is a synthesis of everyone's tips and likes and various things, suggesting what stocks people are interested in. And yesterday morning, 5 out of the 6 were in profit. I mean, and serious profit. One was up nearly 40%. So it was, and that was, and we're seeing that a couple of times a week. It doesn't happen all the time. We get a couple of days, like today, we only got 2 out of the 6, but 2 out of 6 is still not bad. But it's really interesting, and with the feedback we're getting now as to go to explain to people how to make it better is really incredible. So we've got 6,000 eyes. We've got professors in big data telling us what to do and how to improve things. We're getting some really experienced traders, multi-millionaires that are saying, guys, love the app, but you need to improve this, you need to improve that. So it's, Arnaud's getting about 4 hours sleep a night, reprogramming, putting new versions out,
I think what's been amazing is now that we've got a small critical amount of numbers, like they all actually care about the app. They don't just go on there like to put their tips and to be like, I'm the first, blah, blah, blah. Like the amount of support messages that I receive, can we do this? Can we do this? Isn't that better? Like, it's amazing. Like people, they're like all together to try to build like a product that will help them to like get better at trading. And we've actually received maybe almost 10 support requests now telling us, hey, thank you guys, this is amazing. Like, I've only used it for 2 weeks, but my trading has gone better. And knowing with Tony, like, even though we already put an enormous amount of work in this, that we only like scratched the 1% of what's left to build. Like, we can help everyone like to improve their trading. So
I think what I like about the whole concept is that you got now a place where you can watch what's running on the day, or what people think, you know, your 3 month, 6 month, year kind of tips. And the critical mass thing is, you know, like, you know, one person says it's good, or is it 1,000 people saying it's good? That's kind of, although it's not, you know, like holy grail, but at least it gives an indication. It's like people looking at volumes on the day, you know, well, that stock suddenly got a spike in volume. Hey, what's happening? Yeah. So now you got actually people who are tipping how many thumbs up and things like that on certain stock. It gives you an opportunity to go and look at that stock. I'm pretty sure you're not implying that, hey, that's a sure thing, but it gives you an indication of asking the questions, you know, what's happening here, or maybe I should keep an eye on that stock, or things like that. Yeah, and from a person who invests sort of medium term, long term, I like the 6 month, 12 months, because then it gives people, oh, why is it that one got so much interest there? So I think that's what I like about the thing. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, it's. I mean, there's things that have come out of the data that we would never thought for a minute that we would see. We're getting guys that are getting it right 91% of the time, and that is incredible. If you think of that, so, you know, as hard as trading is. You know, even guys getting it right 77% of the time. I've never seen that in my life ever. You know, the best traders always, as I saw it, got it right maybe 40% of the time, but they closed their losses out and ran their profits. So the overall position was that they were making good money. But here we've got guys getting it right 70 to 90% of the time, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. There's, you know, but more importantly, you know, I believe that it, you know, past performance is no indication of future performance. However, the same people keep getting it wrong, and the same people keep getting it right. You know, we've had some of the people from other forums. I won't name names, that I believe constantly get it wrong and constantly lose money for people, have joined SIP, and I've seen their history, and their trading is appalling. Loss, maybe one win, loss. And then we're seeing, you know, other guys that you would never have, they're not noisy, they're not heavily promoting themselves, getting it right every single time. You know, so and then the spin-off data that comes from that is huge, but you know, the growth is incredible. You know, what else can we add? You know, we can build an algorithm that goes off and reads, you know, newspapers, and reads Twitter, and reads chat, and, you know, brings other sources in to an algorithm that suggests stocks for people to look at. Just
another quick thing is, not only like we see these people keep getting it right, but the number of tips that they put is probably higher than what a normal trader would do, like in real time. So you see people with thousands of tips getting that 90% correct right. So that is really amazing. And now that we've got on the team someone that can make more sense of all of the data that we get, because we're getting thousands and thousands of tips a day, I'm sure we'll come up with something amazing.
I think in view of what stocks and play is about, like, there's now an opportunity for you to quantify your tips. Like, people go, oh, you know, buy this, you know, but you know that they never tell you the ones that they've lost, but they're just. Whereas here, there's an ability to quantify what I say is there. It's like when you go to eBay and you buy things. The first thing I do is I look at his buy-sell record, and then we always look at the negative comments, and then we said, oh, okay, we'll make a judgment call. Whereas now you have an ability to have, 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever it is. Everything's transparent. And then, so when you make that tip, if you have self-interest, you want to make sure that you get them right. Because if you then go out, whoever you may be, and start professing that you're a great broker or great whatever, someone's going to say, oh, you're that guy,
That's correct.
who got about 40% right,
It was interesting. So the motivation for Stocks in Play, for me personally, came from 2 issues. One, I worked at Carmichael's and I worked with one of our directors there, and he was the greatest trader I've ever seen. And he didn't look at research. He didn't look. He just had his mind was a black box. It looked at what other people were saying. He would look at the market depth. He would look at the chart. He would look at the volume. He would look at who the directors were. He would, he had it in his mind. He had a mental algorithm black box, and he would just look at a screen, know the history of the stock, and buy it, or short it. As in those days, back in the 90s, you could do that. And he was the greatest trader I've ever seen. And I met him the other day, and he said, "Tony, well done on Stocks in Play. You've killed it. Well done." And I said, I won't say his name, but I said, "Mate, you were the inspiration behind it." And he said, "What? You're kidding me?" And I said, "No, dead serious." The other thing that came to mind is I've watched research reports I've been a broker for 25 years. It's my 26th year. And I've watched research, and research is appalling. At various times we've put together reports on various stockbroking firms. We've got every research report they've done for the last 10 years, put it into a spreadsheet, marked it at that price, and then what the current price is. One particular firm we did the research on, if you'd started with a theoretical $1 million, at the end of the 10 years, that $1 million would be worth $80,000. They've lost $920,000, and that's quite typical of research. The masses are better than individuals. The example I give to everyone is Harvard opened one of their MBA courses, to the world. So 1,500 people enrolled at Harvard Business School a year. They opened one of their units to every other MBA graduate in the world. 28,000 people entered the course, and it was a stock valuation related course. And the question is, when the course was finished, what number do you think the top Harvard person was out of the 28,000? So 1,500 Harvard people in a group of 28,000 other MBAs from around the world. India, Mumbai, you name it, China, you name it, all around the world. And they were all ranked for their performance at the end of the course. What number do you think the top Harvard person came out of the 28,000? Take a guess. So the smartest of the smartest of the smartest at Harvard, take a guess.
10%?
What number? No, rank.
Rank. As in number?
Number. What rank? 21. Ranked 1 to 28,000.
Don't know. 10? 7?
Okay. So normally, when I tell this story, I normally get, the top Harvard person, they're the smartest of the smartest all around the world. You'd probably get 4 people in the top 10 from Harvard. The actual result was the top Harvard person came 410th. And that's why research doesn't work. The masses will always be better than the individual group. And there's always someone out there better than a professional on the normal distribution graph. And that's what Stocks in Play is effectively. We're finding those unicorn people, those 1%ers or 0.1%ers. that just constantly get it right. And again, ASIC will, I know my ASIC rules really well. Past performance is no history, is no indication of future performance. But the same people keep getting it wrong all the time, and the same people keep getting it right all the time. Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it's a numbers game. It's a masses, and the blips are the ones that you're looking for. Which at the end of the day, everything is a numbers game, in my opinion. And you need something to quantify, an ability to quantify it. Forums don't quantify it. Whereas this is numbers. It's like calorie counting when you go on a diet. You can count how many calories you're taking, how many you think you've expended, and it works. Because there's science. It's numbers, right? Not the science, but it's numbers. You can measure. There's a way to measure, and I think stocks in place is a bit like that. I mean, obviously you can expand it into having the news and everything else, but the chats gives a reason why the guys have put that thumbs up. You can ask an ability, whereas a forum doesn't. The guy will just go in there and say, they say great, yeah, and you have no idea, and like you said, most of this happens is when people want to exit, they'll create some momentum, and it's funny because I spoke to one of my contacts in KL, and I said, maybe you guys could share some of my research and the insights are right, because but most of these guys don't use emails, they use phones. I said, well, that's true, less trail. But from the technical side of it, I mean, obviously your role is the backbone of it. Where do you think it is now compared to where you started? Where do you think that growth? I mean, you mentioned you've only scratched 1% of it, but where do you think it can go?
Yeah, I think when we started and we had a lot of iterations, it was just like an idea, a concept, like few black boxes. Red, green, swipe left, swipe right, and I think so long as we keep following the feedback from the members, it can grow anywhere. Like basically, we're building a tool to help people to be better traders. So the community aspect is really important. So everything is live. As soon as you do something, you either get a push notification or the screen of the person at the other side of Australia is immediately updated. In terms of technical things, really, it's like just things that everyone knows, but people are afraid to use because it's hard to keep, all the devices connected to something live at the same time. But at the moment, we're managing to do it well. So just keep it basically, we're building a collaborative tool for people to become a better trader. Yeah. So we need to keep focusing on like the collaboration between people, ease that up, making it easier for one person to contact another person and say, hey, like you just say, why do you place that tip? Easier to keep the transparency going. As soon as someone does something, it has to be exposed to everyone. There's nothing hidden. There's no hidden mechanisms. It's all about collaboration and transparency. That's what we are about.
Like Tony, I mean, obviously you guys start this and everything else. Do you see any competitors coming on the screen? Are you mindful of this kind of stuff?
Yeah. Look, we've obviously borrowed ideas from other sites elsewhere. There's a lot in this space in Forex, but they haven't really done it well in stocks, because stocks are so difficult. I mean, what Arnaud's built, it would be easier building a trading system, an actual trading system, than it is what we've had to build a paper-based system. Because with a trading system, you have absolutes. Where with a paper-based system, you don't have absolutes. You've got to infer a lot of potential prices and things like that. And obviously, we've had to build systems to show that we can't be gained effectively, and so we've that's been important as well. Look, the only competitor, and we don't really see them as a competitor, we see them as a partner in this space, is Strawman, and Andrew Page there is a good guy. And they're obviously building a very research-based system. It's not something that I would do because firstly I don't have time to read 300-400 articles on a particular stock, but some people do. Some people like research. They're a very analytical group of people, and that's what they would prefer to do. I don't see any other competition at all. And Strawman is very much a longer term system, and probably suited more to someone's super fund. That's probably a more conservative site. Our site is we obviously have the longer periods as well, quarter, month, and year. But we're generally more a trading position. But I've been following a lot of the stuff for my super fund. And it's done very well as well. But
Yeah, I think in time, people that are good at every different period will come out anyway. So there's no point of just focusing on like the actual periods by themselves. Like the good people will come out no matter what. Yeah, in terms of competition, like Tony said, Strawman is close to us, but it's also very different. So we can just keep borrowing ideas from them and things like that. But like the way they're going, they will never build like a live system like we're doing. They're just like after the fact. With stocks in play, everything is live, everything happens like just like this. And there's no other system around that's close to this at the moment. In the general things, like you mentioned, eToro, the Forex system is obviously another level close to us. You can copy trades, you can see what people do. But yeah, it's with stocks, with ASX, there's nothing similar to us. And I think with the team that we have now, we'll constantly evolve the product. And yeah, I think we're in a really good space now that no one is going to be able to either copy us or do something similar. Or
I think in when you look at how people invest, there's always tools that people use, and you are just one of those kind of tools that people use. And I think it's useful. Everybody has a different strategy. Even though you have this long-term sort of view on investments, there's always a punt to come, and it's good to be able to see what, like you said, what people are hearing. I mean, if you're with online trading, everyone's sort of fairly isolated to some point. So now you got these tools out there that creates a mass. It's as if like you were sitting in an office where everyone's yelling and
Actually, and that's a really good point. And the other, and Noel just touched on a really good point. When during the .com boom, I was obviously at Carmichael's, and we. 99, 90, end of 98 through to probably around probably April 2000, Carmichael's was the biggest probably retail stockbroker in Australia, full stop. I was sort of head of dealing in retail space, or head of internet trading at the time, and it was incredible. We would probably had 45 dealers, and the call would scream out in the office. Everyone, look at FJR, or even in '98, I remember very well. The call went out. Everyone, look at Eagle Mining, or look at, and so you had 38 or 45 very experienced eyes around a dealing room, screaming out to the whole dealing room, look at this, look at this, look at this. I mean, Stocks in Play has taken that to the next level, where we've effectively got 6,000 eyes, and by Christmas it's probably going to be 20,000 eyes saying, look at this, look at this. And it's a really interesting space.
I think I may have mentioned this before. You guys have hit a critical mass where the injection of bigger volumes will come at an easier pace than say before. And I think that what you've just described is exactly what I see SIP for, is that it's info. You know, nobody in their right mind will just jump in and buy a stock because there's a mass going there, but at least it gives you that ability to know what are the masses doing, you know. But mate, we could go forever, and like you said, you could talk for 2 hours. But we can talk. You know, when you hit the 20,000, we can talk about that. I did forget that you did do geology with me in high school.
I wasn't as good as you though. I think you topped it, and I think I came third.
I think I did well in year 11 because nobody else knew. Then I got lazy in year 12. But you know, that's another story. But thanks for giving us time, and Arnaud, Tony, we'll maybe get an update later down the road.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, mate.
All right, thanks, Arnaud.